Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to the Tried and Tested podcast. I am your host Tracey, and if you're not familiar with my show, this is a dating and relationship show where we talk about all things marriage, singleness, people stealing, people fighting, anything that has to do with relationships, we pretty much cover it in my show. And so today I have a very special guest. I have my boo Jenny. Say hey girl.
Hey girl. Hello everyone.
Hello. So thank you so much for taking the time out to be one of my guests today. And
it's a pleasure.
Oh, I appreciate it. And so without further ado, the topic today we're going to be discussing is disrespectful partners. Okay? So, I know that maybe not everybody has experienced this. I know that disrespectful partners may not be something that people tolerate. It may not be something that people have experienced, but I think that it's something that's very important. I know that we've all experienced at least disrespectful people, right? So what is your opinion, or what do you think, Jenny, is disrespect in a relationship? What kind of things, do you think that falls under?
Okay, so to start, right, I just want to say, with disrespect is really subjective. So, what I may consider to be disrespectful, somebody who's like, oh, that's nothing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so, we all internalize different things different ways. And people, we grow up from different paths. So what I thought was okay would not be okay with somebody else. So, for example, with me, one of the words that's a trigger word for me is shut up. I don't know why. But
what
if
you
tell me this,
that's disrespectful.
No, because the thing is not, because see, some people will be like, oh, it's not. Honestly, some people will be like, I just say shut up, it's nothing. You know what I mean? Or the word relax. There's certain words that trigger me, right? And I find it super disrespectful. And, especially when I was younger in relationships, I didn't really always know how to communicate that. And so I would immediately get angry, expecting my partner to be to know that I sounded disrespectful without really saying it. And I think that, we, just humans in general, we all have triggers, and not every partner knows what your trigger is. So, disrespectful could be extreme as far as, him calling you the B word, him cursing you out. But some couples communicate that way. So,
that's true. That's their love language.
That's their love language. So it really, truly is subjective in how you internalize things and how easily offended you can get. Because some people are really, truly easily offended. I'm passive aggressive, and I know I am. So although I'm not the person who'd be like, yeah, blah, 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 in your face yelling, I may throw little hitters here and there. And someone would be like, yo, that's mad disrespectful. And I'm like, oh, why? I'm calm. I'm not yelling. How is it disrespectful?
Yes.
So,
no, they're right.
But they're right, because I'm passive aggressive. So I'll be like, oh, do you feel okay the way you're acting? Do you think that's very mature of you? I'll do things like that, right?
That would drive me crazy.
Somebody may find that as disrespectful. And somebody may find that as disrespectful, but it may not, you know what I mean? So I think it's truly subjective.
I mean, so, okay, but I feel what you kind of went over, it could be, passive aggressiveness. It could also be manipulation. It could be antagonizing. So are those things all disrespect, though?
That's what I'm saying. It depends on the person, because for me, I feel it's, I don't like yelling, right? So, if you even raise your voice slightly, I'm automatically offended, and I feel like you're disrespecting me. I think it depends on you and what you really tolerate, because a lot of times we just, everybody's different. So, everybody's level of what disrespect is somebody could, I would say, my highest thing would be maybe cheating. I would be like, that's super disrespectful for you to even, talk to another girl. I find that, crazy disrespectful. And, but, again, somebody would be like, all men cheat. It is what it is. So, we really have to focus on it. But I feel like there's certain levels of disrespect that are, non-negotiable.
Yes.
So, you trying to hit me, abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, even like I said, cheating. I feel like that's disrespectful. Sometimes I feel like if I'm with my husband and I don't bang with somebody, you shouldn't either. So
what?
You know what I mean?
Wait. Okay. Well, let me let you finish first.
The reason why I'm saying that is like, say, like, let's say that somebody doesn't really like me or they don't really care for me, right?
Yeah.
But then they see my husband, they're like, hey, what's going on? And he's like all up in a full-blown conversation and smiling and laughing. I'm like, they didn't even acknowledge me. I feel like this is
Okay.
disrespectful.
But
So
I don't
it's
think
kind of
it's
like,
disrespectful on your partner, though. That person is being disrespectful. Because I feel like if you're not speaking to, like, he probably didn't even realize because he's just like, oh, I know them, we're having a conversation. But I feel like the person is being disrespectful, not your husband. But that also can kind of, your husband is?
I think I would kind of look at him like that because you would already know, like, you know who's feeling your wife, who's not feeling your wife. So not saying that you shouldn't acknowledge the person, but you should make it clear, like, you know, my wife is here too, kind of thing. But see, that's me. So I feel like it's really, like I said, it's very subjective. And like some people easily get offended. Like I know people who be like, oh my God, that's so disrespectful. He said that to you? And I'm like, oh, that was funny. Right? So I thought it was a joke. I didn't even take it serious. And somebody's like, that's really disrespectful. And you're like, no, it's not. So it could go deep. It could go real deep.
Yeah. And you know, I do take that. Well, so first of all, let me go back to when you said the word relax. You said the word relax is disrespectful? Like, do you mean like the tone in which people speak or the words that they say? That, cause I feel like, if I'm like, Jenny, yo, relax, girl. Like, instead of like, yo, relax. Right? There's a difference, right? And so I feel like, is it the word or just how it's being said?
I think it's honestly, it's not even how, I think it's the word. I feel like it's just a trigger word for me, especially coming from a man. I think sometimes it's like, you know, like they always, in my mind, this is what builds up in my mind. Like, oh, yeah, women are always complaining or they're always being extra, thinking too much into something and it's not that deep, right? So I think just from past relationships, when I hear the word relax, it's always kind of like trying to tell me to calm myself down. I'm being too extra. So like, that word literally, you see what I mean? So that word is like, I easily get offended from it. Even if you, like, even sometimes if a friend says it, like, it just, like, it'll bother me. Because I'm like, why did you tell me to relax? Like, I won't get mad as if I would get as a partner, but it would, like, still bother me.
Because it's a trigger word, and you have your own definition for the word.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So, like, when it comes to disrespect, it can go so deep because everybody's triggered differently.
Yeah. Wow. Like, I mean, I guess, but that's also part of, like, communication and part of life and part of how, like, what we all think. All right. So I do have another question then, because at first I'm like, that's not disrespect if you're with your partner and somebody comes up to you and you can tell they're kind of trying to ice you out. Like, the person is trying to be disrespectful. So I feel like, but I do agree when your partner doesn't actually step up and say something, that's an issue. Now, it just reminded me of a situation from, like, it had to be like 2009 or something like that. So let me tell you, like, I started out with disrespectful partners, or I would say my first love was like, that was like the epitome of a disrespectful partner. And I remember, like, he had some basics behind job, and I remember I went there or whatever, and he was having a birthday party that night. So, like, we were, like, gonna set up, and we did, like, all this stuff. Like, I'm talking about, we went to Costco, we bought all this stuff. I had got a shirt made, and I got him, like, a bow tie to match the same material, right? So I'm like, okay, like, we gonna be lit, like, it's gonna be his birthday. So when I went to his job, some girl legit was like, hey, and then she looked at me, mind you, I was, like, in my early 20s, and I know I don't look old. This was like, oh, is this your mother? And so, but he didn't say nothing. Like, and I was mad confused because I'm like, obviously, sis knows I'm not your mother because you look older than me, right? But it's like the shade in which, you know, she was throwing, and it's like, but you expect your partner to say something like, whoa, like, what's going on? You know what I mean? And then also, but this man was a whole joke. And then also, like I said, with the birthday party, it was a lot of people. It was like a cookout. A lot of people that came, you know, like I was up in there, like, you know, trying to get everything together. But, you know, he never wore the bow tie. So that's another form of disrespect because, and he wasn't no good. But you understand, like, so it's kind of just like people not acknowledging you or your efforts that you do. So that, I forgot all about that. But that's another example, like you trying to make it known that we're not together. And then in that same day, like I said, I was a whole dummy. I was literally, I think I was like 20 years old or 21, I don't remember. I think somebody else asked me like, oh, is it your sister or is it your, you know what I mean? So that means that they
Right.
disrespected me all day. But I mean, that means that, like the vibe in which my partner and I were giving off were
Right.
not relationship vibes. You get what I'm saying? And so like I'm sitting here and I'm like slaving and doing what I'm doing and trying to make the whole day. But at the same time too, I'm not gonna lie, I was on the way out the relationship anyway. So it was like I'm sure on both ends, you know, like it's when you're hanging on by a string, it was the end of the road for us. But yeah, I mean that's true. So sometimes your partner can disrespect you by actually not speaking up for you or actually not,
Right.
you know, putting people in their place. So that's definitely a good one. And so yeah, so like when I thought about disrespect, we did cover some of the things as far as like, you know, how you speak to a person, people who are slapping people around, and that's men and women. I feel like as a woman, if you slap your partner around, and it's women that be abusing a man, and I'm like, whoa, like sis.
Right.
I'm like, that's not normal behavior. But of course,
Nope.
this is all learned behavior. Sometimes it's what you saw your parents do or you saw your siblings and stuff do. So, you know, like that, definitely cheating. And it could be emotional cheating. It could be physical cheating.
Right.
On top of cheating, people giving people STDs, people having babies, whether you're married or single with somebody else, you know, like that kind of thing, stealing money. Not calling or showing up. So like those are different. I mean, I'm sure the list goes on, and I'm sure you can name some more.
Yep.
But like those are examples of people who just have they just don't care. They're just kind of treating you anyhow. But and I also like I wanted to say like I know for me, I don't know if this is how the men are feeling in this situation. Like I've been in a situation where I was a disrespectful partner, not the whole way through the relationship, but pretty much I think that once somebody can lie to you or just kind of like, you know, have you in the dark about things. Like I did an episode recently about people who are married or people who have children and, you know, they don't tell you. And so like with things like that, you start to have like a built up animosity and then you just don't like them. Like you just do not like them. So I know for me at a point in time, it didn't matter where we was at, like on site, like I was just going to let you know how I feel about you. And it was like venom coming out of my mouth. You know what I mean? So it's just like, and then you could just see the man like just shriveling back into his shell. But it's like, you know, that happens too. Sometimes you can create a disrespectful partner.
That's true.
Yeah, girl. So my question to you is, why do you think that people deal with this? And I guess we could speak on women because we are women. So if you've ever been in a situation where either you have been disrespected or you were the one doing it, why do you feel like the other party deals with it?
So I think, let me just start with the disrespect, right? So, like, if I communicate, like, this is something that I don't like, right? Because if they do it, let's say they do it once, they do something and they do something that I really don't like, I can have a conversation with you, right? But when it becomes something that's repeated often and you know that I find it as disrespectful, that's when I'm just like, all right, am I staying or am I going, right? But I think sometimes we, as people, feel like we can change people, or we're like, you know what, this is something small, so you know what, I'll be all right with it. It could be much worse, right? So people, there always is like it could be much worse, you know, type of situation. We always also get comfortable in the disrespect sometimes, and we just kind of let it go, like, oh, you know what, that's how she is, or that's how he is, so it is what it is. But you're not really happy, but you're kind of just trying to say this is what the person is like, so it is what it is. And I think that's why we tolerate it, because it's kind of just like, well, it could be worse, and, you know, that's how she is, so I'm going to let it be like that. And then we end up kind of settling in a way because we're not truly happy about what's going on. We're not truly happy about what's going on. So we end up staying in something like that, and it becomes something that's like something that we end up later on saying, I don't want to be with this person anymore. We ask, it's like, oh, because he's like this, but it's kind of like, he's always been like this.
But it adds
he's
up.
always been like that.
And then you get to the end of the road.
You get to the end of the road, but it's like if you initially address it, and then if it happens a couple of more times, you should just really be out. But we like, so, you know, women too. We like, so he could change. He's gonna be better. And they're not gonna get better.
Well, they're not gonna change if they don't see the problem. Because sometimes it's like people don't realize that you may see it as a problem, but if I'm the one doing it, I think it's fine. I think you're crazy, and so therefore I'm not actively working to change anything. And so it's kind of just like you're beating dead air. But that was one of my questions, though. So you're saying, like, can you give examples of what it is that you're bringing to somebody's attention, because that was my question. Can it actually be fixed? And how? So, like, let's say you disrespect me by you stealing my debit card to buy some, buying stuff. And you're like, oh, it's just $15. But that to me is theft, right? So
Right.
those kind of things is kind of like, what do you feel like, as far as disrespect is concerned, that what do you feel like can be fixed? Because obviously in relationships, people normally go from a lovey-dovey stage to they just crazy. Like, it ain't working out. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's a shift where people start to show their real colors. And so it's kind of just like, how does that go?
So I think, so the question is like, when do you communicate? Like, how do you communicate that you don't disrespect? Like, you feel disrespected by a certain situation. That's what you're asking. Something clear.
Yes.
So usually people react, right? So like, if you do something, I'm reacting right away rather than explaining why I'm reacting that way. So like, if you, like you say, you take my debit card and you use my money, you feel like it's nothing, you feel like we're together, blah, 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 and I go off, right? Me going off doesn't necessarily explain to you why I find it disrespectful. So I think a lot of times we got to take a step back when someone does something to us and literally be like, you know what, he really don't know, or she really don't know that this is disrespectful to me. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to explain to her. But we don't do that. We just react. So I think
of course.
being like, all right, bro. So I know you thought it was nothing, but I really don't like you using my card. Like, please don't let it happen again. Like, if you want, I could cash app you some money. I could do that. We got quick pay nowadays. There's a lot of ways to get it, but you don't got to take my stuff like that. Because they don't truly know you. You're really learning somebody every single day. You know what I mean? Like, no one truly knows the heart of a man but God. So, like, every day you're literally learning someone. Every day you're learning. Even when you get married, you're still learning. When you live together, you're still learning. So I feel like they may not even know that that's disrespectful, and then you react in a certain way, which can also then trigger them to think that you're disrespectful the way you're talking to them. Then it becomes something that's like, oh, I'm going to do what I want to do anyway because you're not going to talk to me like that. You see what I'm saying? So then it just becomes worse.
Wow. No, that's definitely facts. But I just wonder, like, so obviously, like, I'm somebody who, I don't know if you've done this or not, and maybe I should have asked you before the episode, but I'm someone who, like, I believe in premarital counseling, right? And I'm not talking about the premarital, but I'm not talking about the premarital counseling that people do, let's say, like, there's pre-engagement counseling, and there's post-engagement counseling, like, the one you do right before you get married or whatever. And, so I'm definitely one for that, because I feel like if you don't understand what each other, like, if you don't understand what I'm saying and I don't understand what you're saying, it's going to be very difficult, because I feel like people are getting divorced and people are breaking up for reasons that could be resolved, but it's like you're just so far down the road, you guys have made it, and it's just like you guys are not seeing eye to eye. But sometimes it can be something as simple as, how do I receive, like, what do I think is disrespect, and what do I take as disrespect, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So it's definitely, I don't know, but you're right. It's definitely all subjective to how you see it. And so I definitely agree with that. So, okay, what do you think about exes? Now, obviously you're married now, right? But if you were, if you weren't married, or matter of fact, because you obviously you were not before at one point, so you can say it from either point of view. Do you think that it's disrespectful to your partner to remain friends with someone that you used to be in a relationship with, or someone you just used to talk to, or anything like that? Do you feel like those things should be cut off completely?
That's okay. So yes and no. But I'm more so with the yes, because I feel like once you get into something new, and especially if you're getting into marriage or something, that's a new covenant that you're forming. So everything else should be of the past. Now, if you see them in the street, you say, what's up, how are you doing? That's fine. But this continuous friendship to me makes no sense. One, because you were physically intimate with that person. You're emotionally intimate with that person, right? So now you're with someone else. So why are you, like, even if you're friends, quote unquote now, you still have that past history that should stay in the past as history. So you shouldn't be moving forward with somebody for their future. So, like, that's what I'm saying yes and no, because, like, you don't have to be their enemy, right? But if you see them in the street, you can say hi, you can have a conversation, or be like, oh, I'm going to text you, see how you're doing. For what? Why are you texting the person? Because the relationship that you guys had, for the most part, was that intimate relationship of girlfriend, boyfriend. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, this is my childhood friend. This is different. This is like you were girlfriend and boyfriend, you took it to that step. So don't bring that into something new. Like, it is what it is. Like, just let it go.
Yeah, you just don't have to. But I mean, I know people who end up.
And some people can't. They think that you're trying to, like, you know, especially with people, they feel like you're maybe trying to control them when you're saying, like, oh, we need to judge us or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like just out of respect, like, because that's the same thing when your husband or your boyfriend may have, like, a female friend at work that he confides in.
Yeah.
So what? So what? That's disrespectful because, first of all, no other female should be able to tell you about your wife about anything.
Yes,
and no man can come and tell me about my husband about anything, okay? So it's like, don't allow anything to come in between your relationship ever, at all.
Okay.
So what are
I
you
got a follow-up question.
about?
Oh, well, okay, you know, you're talking about, okay, so I thought you said coworker. So no, if it's your ex,
coworker,
definitely.
ex, even coworker.
Okay, so here's my question, right? So, like, I have two guy best friends, right? One of them, I have been best friends with him since 1998. And the other one I've been best friends with since 2002, right? So obviously, whatever girlfriend you come in contact with or whatever wife you come in contact with, 9 times out of 10, and we not, like, we haven't, like we don't like each other. It's like we literally have been friends since we were, you know, young. And so I feel like, do you think that it's disrespectful then for them to have a friendship with someone that's kind of like family at this point, despite being in a relationship with you or being, okay, so you don't think that?
No, if you've never been intimate, that's fine, but I just also feel like he needs to make it clear who's the priority.
Yeah.
So it can be like,
definitely. I feel like even as a woman,
my best friend's, right, my best friend's calling me, so I gotta go, like, you know, kind of type of thing. It's like he has to make it clear that the person who's with his priority, but this is my friend from long time.
Yeah. Definitely. And even like, I feel like as a woman, because I am a woman, like I be checking them sometimes too, like, yo, like relax. Like, you know, or I also pulled myself back out of the situation because I thought like, even though we was like tight and we grew up together, I know that if I was your partner looking in, I'd be like, nah, you can't do all of that. So, okay, I do have, before we wrap it up, I do have one question that actually came from a listener. And so I'm going to give you the scenario real quick. I gave my opinion, but I just thought it was so funny, right? So let's say there was a man that you were involved with, right, in your past. And then, like, you know, maybe you guys dated briefly, whatever, you guys slept together, whatever you want to call it. And then he decides that, oh, you know, you're a great woman and my cousin wants to get married. So I want to connect the two of you, but don't tell him we had sex. Is that disrespectful or what is that?
First of all, what is that? What is that? So I feel like it's respect. It's kind of like, you know what, you weren't good enough for me, but you might be good enough for this person. And it's kind of like, it's not even like the person just hooking you up to hook you up. Like, it's like, if they didn't find it, like, if they didn't think that sleeping with each other was an issue, they would never tell you not to mention it. So clearly there's a level of disrespect right there because it's kind of like, you don't want me to mention that part, but you want to help me with your cousin. That means that if your cousin found out that happened, then he wouldn't want to date me.
That's what I'm saying.
So then, what do you take me for? No, you're right, but like the thing is like kind of like, what do you take me for then? Like, because if you can't even be honest, that means that he wouldn't have. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, nah, you don't respect me, bro. Because you got some nerve. What?
Yeah, people say some crazy things, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, to me, I was like, to me, that's disrespectful. I don't think that that's normal.
That's real disrespectful, and it's kind of like, what do you see me as, especially because it's like you can't even be honest with your cousin about a situation. So it's
yep. So that is that, girl. Well, Miss Jenny Boo, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time out today to do this episode. No problem.
Thank you for having me.
You gave some good insight. Yes. So I do have a question for the listeners. If they want to find you on social media, I don't know if you're active on it, but if you are,
well, I ain't active. I ain't active on social media. Check my stuff. But I'm gonna be doing a couple of things very soon. So look, I don't even know my Instagram name. I'm trying to think of my Instagram name.
Wow.
You know what? we working in progress.
Okay.
I'm gonna be in show again one day. I'm gonna say it again. Don't worry. We got this.
All right. No problem. All right. Well, thank you so much. And to my listeners, yes, honey. And to my listeners, I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. And until next time, have a good one.
Later.